This evening we're going to discuss Bruner's constructivist theory.
Before we go to our main discussion, let us know first who is Jerome Bruner. Jerome Bruner is an American psychologist and educator who developed theory of perceptions, learning, memory, and other cognitions of a young children. So, he is one of the proponents of constructivism. So, how we define constructivism? Constructivism is an epistemological beliefs about what knowing is and how one comes to know. According to Jerome Bruner, we learn through our experience, and that meaning is influenced by the interactions of our prior knowledge and new events. And this prior knowledge influence what's new or modified knowledge an individual will construct from new learning experience. So let's proceed to Bruner's main concepts, which are representation, spiral curriculum, spiral learning, and categorization. There are three types of representations: enactive representations, iconic representations, and lastly, symbolic representations. But first, let us discuss first the enactive representation. The first types of representation is called enactive representations. This type of representations happen from birth to 1 year old. At the earliest age, children learn about the world through actions and physical objects and the outcomes of these actions. For examples, the child showing you how to float in the water without explaining it. The second type of representation is called iconic representation, or learning through images. This type of representation happens in child between 1 to 6 years old. This second stage is when learning can obtain through using models and pictures. At this stage, learners can now mental images. This stands for certain objects or events. Iconic representations allow children to recognize objects when they are changed in minor way. For example, mountain with or without snow at the top is still mountain. The last type of representation is called symbolic representation. It is a learning through abstract or symbolic representation. In this third stage of representation, the learners has developed the ability to think in abstract terms. This uses symbol systems to encode knowledge, and the most common symbol systems are language and mathematical notions. Spiral curriculum refers to the idea of revisiting basic ideas over and over, building upon them, and elaborating to the level of full understanding and mastery. In a spiral curriculum, teachers must revisit the curriculum by teaching the same content in different ways depending on the students' developmental levels. This is why certain topics are initially presented in grade schools in manner appropriate for grade schooler. And then the same topics is tackled in high school, but on much deeper level. Sometimes a topic can be revisited within the same semester or school year. For instance, the 14 learner-centered principles were introduced to you in Module 2 and will again be tackled in Module 26. This time, the 14 principles will be taken up as a means to integrate and summarize all your learnings in these courses or subject. That's the meaning of spiral curriculum. Principles of instruction stated by Bruner. The following are the guide's principles in giving instructions or in teaching. Number 1. Instructions must be concerned with the experience. So, why? Because as what we know that prior knowledge came from our experience and context that make the students willing and able to learn. So that is why when we are presenting examples regarding in a particular subject or the topic, it should be related to the learner's own experience. So why? So it is because that they may find the connections between their experience and the current or the new topic. Number two, in guides, principles, and giving instructions or in teaching. Number two is instructions must be structured so that it can be easily grasped by the student. So when we say spiral organization, it should be organized. Our topic or learning materials should be structured in a manner wherein in systematic form or in organized form. So it can be easily grasped by the students the knowledge in the topic. Number three, in the guides, principles in giving instructions or in teaching. Instructions should be designed to facilitate extrapolations and or fill in the gaps or going beyond the information given. So in this level of guides, principles in giving instructions, in here we already applied knowledge from very far knowledge abstractly, then fill in the gaps, or more likely not based on the informations provided but rather into the real life experience.
The spiral curriculum is based on three key ideas. Students revisited the same topic multiple times to reinforce learning. The complexity of subject matter increases as a child's cognitive ability develops with age. Students' familiarity with the subject matter or ideas enables them to grasp more difficult concepts in a deeper way. So, oftentimes, we will challenge the students to the furthest extent of their current abilities. Once we've gone as far as we can go, we might have to wait a few months or even a year until their mind has developed some more and they are more capable of grappling with the topic. When you return the topic, the student may be at developmentally appropriate level to understand the topic even more. In discovery learning, Bruner proposes that learners construct their own knowledge and do this by organizing and categorizing information using a coding system. Discovery learning refers to obtaining knowledge for oneself. The teacher plans and arranges activities in such a way that students search, manipulate, explore, and investigate. Students learn new knowledge relevant to the domain and such general problem-solving skills as formulating rules, testing, and gathering information. Most discovery does not happen by chance. Students require background preparation, and once students possess requisite knowledge, careful structuring of material allows them to discover important principles. So, learning becomes more meaningful when students explore their learning environment rather than listen passively to teachers. So, here are some classroom examples. In elementary, teachers might use guided discovery to help them children learn animal groups, rather than provide students with the basic animal groups and names of types of animals. Then the students and teacher would classify the animals by examining their similarities and differences. Category labels can be assigned once classifications are made. This approach is guided by the teacher to ensure that classifications are proper, but students are active contributors as they discover the similarities and differences among animals. In high school, a chemistry teacher might use mystery liquids and have students discover the elements in each. The students could proceed through a series of experiments designed to determine if certain substances are present in a sample. By using the experimental process, students learn about the reactions of various substances to certain chemicals and also how to determine the contents of their mystery substance. According to Bruner, he states that a theory of instruction should address four major aspects. So here are the four major aspects according to Bruner. Predisposition to learn. He introduced the ideas of readiness for learning. Bruner believed that any subject could be taught at any stage of development in a way that fits the child's cognitive abilities. And this feature specifically states the experiences which move the learner toward a love of learning in general or learning something in a particular. Bruner emphasized social factors and early teachers and parents' influence on this. He believed that learning and problem solving emerge out of exploration. Part of the task of a teacher is to maintain and direct child's spontaneous exploration. Number 2. Structure of knowledge. This refers to ways in which a body of knowledge can be structured so that it can be most readily grasped by the learner. Bruner emphasized the role of structure in learning and how it may be made in central teaching. The structure refers to relationships among factual elements and techniques. This will depend on different factors and there will be many ways to structure a body of knowledge and many preferences among learners. Bruner offered considerable detail about structuring knowledge. Bruner viewed categorization as a fundamental process in the structuring of knowledge. Details are better retained when placed within the context of an ordered and structured pattern. To generate knowledge which is transferable to other contexts, fundamental principles or patterns are best suited. The third one is effective sequencing. No one sequencing will fit every learner, but in general, the lesson can be presented in increasing difficulty. Sequencing or lack of it can make learning easier or more than difficult. A spiral curriculum refers to the idea of revisiting basic ideas over and over, building upon them and elaborating to the level of full understanding and mastery. The fourth one is reinforcement. Reward and punishment should be selected and placed appropriately. Bruner investigated motivation for learning. He felt that ideally interest in the subject matter is the best stimulus for learning. Bruner did not like external competitive goals such as grade or class ranking. Here is the Bruner's categorization. Bruner gave much attention to categorization of information in the construction of internal cognitive maps. He believed that the perception, conceptualization, learning, decision-making, and making inferences all involved categorization. There are several kinds of categories. The first one is identity categories. They are the categories include objects based on their attributes or features. The second one is equivalent categories. It provides the rules for combining categories. Equivalence can be determined by affective criteria, which render objects equivalent by emotional reactions, functional criteria based on related functions. That will be all. Thank you for listening.